There are silences that speak louder than 1,000 words. There are glances that should pass quickly, yet linger a moment too long. And there are gestures, small, almost invisible, that hold unspoken intentions. But what happens when a married man begins to look at another woman differently? And if you are that woman, this is not a place of judgment or condemnation. We are not here to speak of infidelity as scandal, but as a question of emotional awareness. Because often, desire does not rise from betrayal, but from emptiness. Not from malice, but from loneliness. And to recognize this is to look deeper into the quiet human truths hidden within our behaviors. Routine has a way of wearing things down. What once burned like fire becomes habit. And habit, without renewal, cools. As Carl Jung wrote in Man and His Symbols, what you resist, persists, what you accept transforms. Many couples resist facing the truth that their bond is slowly fading. And in that emptiness, where recognition, passion, and meaning are missing, someone else can quietly appear. Not because they were sought out, but because they were, in some unspoken way, needed. That man rarely leaves home intending to connect with someone else. There is no plan, no deliberate pursuit. What happens is subtler, more deeply human. Suddenly, a simple conversation with a coworker becomes the only moment in his day when he feels truly heard. A smile makes him feel seen. A single sentence awakens something he no longer feels within his own home. And that is where it quietly begins. The signals don't arrive like explosions, but like whispers, shifts in tone, a different kind of attention. A message that seems innocent yet leaves behind an unsettling trace. Most women who have lived through this didn't recognize it at first, but they sensed it. Intuition whispered, "This isn't normal. This isn't random." And then comes the question that unsettles the heart: what do I do with this? Am I overreacting? Or is there truly something more? Am I part of an emotional story he himself does not yet dare to name? As Jung wrote in The Psychology of the Unconscious, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Recognizing the signs is not about judgment. It is about reclaiming your own emotional story. Because no one should become the secret refuge of a man who has already committed his heart elsewhere. In this video, we will explore 5 subtle yet deeply meaningful signs that may reveal when a married man desires you. We will approach them with sensitivity, without condemnation, and with an honest look at the complexity of human relationships. Understanding these signs is not just an act of intuition. It is an act of self-protection. It is a way to safeguard your emotional integrity and to make choices from a place of clarity rather than confusion. Some connections may feel magnetic, even magical. But without awareness, they can leave scars that take years to heal. And this is what you must remember from the very beginning. Just because a married man looks at you differently does not mean you are obliged to return that look. Not because you cannot feel, but because you can choose. Choose to protect yourself. Choose to understand where the attention is truly coming from. And above all, choose what role you wish to play in your own story. Sometimes the most dangerous form of seduction isn't carried by words themselves, but by unmet needs disguised as connection. Something subtle begins to shift when a married man develops desire for another woman. His way of speaking to her doesn't change all at once. It drifts, almost imperceptibly, into a new tone. Softer. More intimate. Charged with an unspoken intention. It begins with the smallest details. Words that might appear kind on the surface, yet carry a different spark when they come from him. That you once exchanged nothing more than polite greetings. But now his voice lingers when he speaks to you. There is warmth, a gentle tenderness, in his language that is absent when he speaks to others. His tone slows, becomes more attentive, sometimes even playfully so. This shift is never truly accidental. Psychology suggests that men often refine their words when they feel attraction, not always with conscious awareness, but with an emotional undercurrent that seeks to carve out a private space, a micro-world of connection. And without ever saying it openly, his words begin to choose you. He speaks to you differently because he perceives you differently. As Carl Jung suggested in The Ego and the Unconscious, every human bond carries projections of what lies hidden within us. When a married man begins to speak to a woman with emotional intensity, he may be projecting onto her the very parts of himself that have been repressed, his longing to be seen, valued, admired. In this way, language becomes a symbolic expression, and often it takes shape in compliments. Not grand confessions, but subtle, repeated remarks. You look great today, that color suits you perfectly, you always know what to say. On the surface, they appear harmless, almost ordinary. But beneath them lies an emotional frequency that is anything but casual. Because it's not only about the words. It's the way he says them. The brightness in his eyes as he delivers them. The slight pause afterward, as if he's waiting for your reaction, your validation, your silent acknowledgement. And the most revealing part is this: these compliments are not like the ones he offers others. They carry a different weight. They are personal, exclusive. They do more than describe you. They symbolically choose you. He begins to highlight in you what he no longer finds in his everyday life. Perhaps he no longer hears those words at home. Perhaps he hasn't felt attractive, admired, or desired in a very long time. And without realizing it, you become his emotional mirror. Another telling change is the frequency of contact. He begins to seek reasons to talk to you, even when none are truly necessary. He asks questions he could easily answer on his own. He sends messages that don't require urgency. A meme, a song, a quote, any excuse to keep the thread of connection alive. Over time, these small exchanges weave themselves into a quiet routine. An emotional routine. But there is more. Gradually, the content of his messages begins to shift. No longer limited to neutral or practical matters, they slip into something more personal. Suddenly, he tells you how his day went. He asks about your preferences, your thoughts, your feelings. And that is where a fragile boundary is crossed into emotional intimacy. And this intimacy does not arrive with a single message. It grows quietly, like a thread that tightens with every exchange. This kind of intimacy is built through accumulation. Day after day, word after word, an emotional bridge begins to form between you. He starts trusting you with the spaces he no longer shares in his marriage. He might confide about an argument with his wife, or admit that he feels stuck in life. And you listen, not only because you care, but because that trust itself begins to draw you in. The complexity of this exchange is that even without physical contact, an emotional bond already exists. As Jung observed in the dynamics of the unconscious, there is no greater illusion than believing we can separate emotion from thought. When a man thinks of you as he writes to you, as he weighs his words, as he reaches toward you emotionally, you are already inhabiting his inner world. And that carries profound weight. Even humor begins to change. He jokes with you differently. His comments carry double meanings. Affection slips into nicknames. The language turns conspiratorial, as if the two of you share a secret code meant for no one else. And that complicity, that shared language, is powerful, but dangerous. Because it creates the illusion that something pure and unique is being born, when in truth, an invisible boundary has already been crossed. An emotional boundary, once crossed, is rarely easy to undo. This is the moment when you must pause and look closely. Does he speak to you the way he speaks to everyone else, or is his tone softer, more frequent, more emotionally charged? Does he reach out for simple reasons, or is he quietly trying to build something with you? Does he make you feel chosen, not through touch, but through words alone? These questions are not meant to accuse, but to awaken awareness. Because desire does not always arrive through the skin. More often, it enters through the ears, through a word carefully spoken, through a phrase that lingers in the chest long after it is heard. And there is another subtle but powerful sign: response time. When a married man begins replying to you quickly, even at moments when he once would not, it speaks volumes. This is not just courtesy, it is priority. It means he is placing you at the center of his attention, even if only emotionally. Do not dismiss the way a married man speaks to you when desire begins to stir. Not because it is your fault, but because you deserve clarity. You deserve to know if you are becoming part of an emotional game that, if left unchecked, can leave scars. And above all, you deserve the right to choose whether to remain in that position or to protect your peace before things grow more complicated. In this context, communication is not just a means, it is a symptom. It reveals a deeper lack he is projecting onto you. And you have every right to recognize it before it evolves into something more. Desire does not always enter through the eyes or the skin. Sometimes it settles quietly in the soul. And when a married man begins opening up emotionally to a woman who is not his wife, it is no longer a matter of simple attraction. It becomes a profound act of emotional transference. And it always begins with small details. He tells you he's had a rough day, that he didn't sleep well, that something is weighing on him. These soft confessions are often disguised as casual conversation, but behind them lies a deeper need, the need to be heard. Because often, that man no longer feels truly heard at home. He no longer feels that he has a safe place to be vulnerable without judgment, and then you appear, the woman who listens attentively, who responds with empathy, who offers kind words where at home he finds only criticism, routine, or indifference. And in that moment, the door that opens is not to his body, but to his intimacy. As Carl Jung wrote in Modern Man in Search of a Soul, loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. When a man feels he cannot share what truly matters with his partner, he will inevitably look for another channel. And often that channel is another woman, not because he set out to betray, but because he longs to give voice to what he carries inside. Over time, this emotional opening deepens. He no longer tells you only about his day. He begins to share fragments of his childhood, his hidden fears, the words he never speaks aloud. He admits that sometimes he feels invisible, that his life seems to pass by without meaning, that he wonders whether he made the right choices, whether his marriage still holds purpose, or if he is simply surviving by inertia. And you listen, because something in those confessions resonates with you. Perhaps you have felt that same loneliness. Perhaps you know what it is to feel unseen. And in that shared understanding, a dangerous intimacy begins to form, because he starts to see you as his emotional refuge, the safe space where he can be himself without masks. The most delicate truth is that this openness is not innocent. It carries weight. It has direction. He is not speaking to just anyone, he is speaking to you. In doing so, he entrusts you with parts of his inner world that his wife no longer sees. He grants you a privileged place, that of confidant, of emotional ally. Often he begins saying things like, "I've never told this to anyone," or "I feel different with you." While these words may sound flattering, they are signs of an emotional connection that has already begun to diverge from its intended path. Because you are no longer simply someone he talks to, you have become his emotional support, his escape, and this is the moment to pause and examine clearly the place you occupy in his life. Are you truly just a sincere friend, or are you filling voids that aren't yours to fill? As Jung noted in The Psychology of Transference, many relationships are born not from authentic love, but from projection. We do not see others as they are, we see them as we are. It is possible he is not truly seeing you, but an idealized version, a symbol of everything he feels is missing. This emotional openness can, without your awareness, become an addictive connection. You begin to wait for his messages, to feel excitement when he shares something personal, to worry about his well-being, and little by little, you start opening your own world to him. And so, even without crossing a physical boundary, you become deeply involved. Emotional openness is a sweet trap because it feels genuine. It feels pure. Yet it can also be unfair to you because you are investing your emotional energy in someone who, in theory, is already committed to another. Someone who may not leave his relationship, but who is willing to fill himself with your attention, your care, your presence. And it is not uncommon that, after opening up emotionally, he may pull away, contradict himself, or appear confused. That vulnerability stirs guilt because he knows he has crossed a line, even if no physical boundary has been breached. He has created an emotional bond with you that he cannot sustain without jeopardizing his current life. That is why recognizing this sign is so important, not to judge him, not to condemn yourself, but to protect yourself. You deserve relationships where you are not anyone's escape valve. You deserve to be chosen freely, not in secrecy. You deserve love with integrity, not borrowed intimacy. If a married man begins to open his soul to you, ask yourself, am I here to heal him, or to hold him up? Am I here because I choose him from a place of fullness, or because he is filling me from his emptiness? Emotional openness is not a game. It is a sacred act. And you deserve to experience it with someone who is also free to share it with honesty, without division, without causing harm to others. It's not just about what he says, it's about why he says it to you. And that why must be examined honestly before it becomes an invisible and painful bond. Time is one of our most precious resources. And when a married man begins to invest it intentionally and repeatedly in a woman who is not his wife, it speaks far more than words ever could. No one invests their time where there is no interest, no need, no desire. At first, it may seem harmless, a conversation that lasts a little longer, a casual coffee, a message sent outside typical hours. But over time, that investment becomes a pattern. He seeks out encounters in shared spaces. He adjusts his schedule, as if by coincidence, to see you. He extends breaks. He appears where you are, without reason. He even reshapes routines to create moments together. That quiet, persistent consistency carries intention, an emotional pull. As Carl Jung wrote in Modern Man in Search of a Soul, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. When a man begins to reshape his daily life around another woman, he is revealing where his heart truly lies, even if he has not spoken it aloud. But beyond time there is another, even more telling sign, the search for validation. He doesn't just want to be near you, he wants to know that you enjoy his presence. He asks if he looks good, if his haircut suits him, if you like his new shirt. These are not idle comments. They are deliberate attempts to please you, to feel desired by you. And it is not only your opinion he seeks. Sometimes he even adjusts his behavior based on what you've said. He changes something about his appearance because of a remark you made. He chooses a song, a book, or even a way of speaking that he knows resonates with you. He is no longer simply being himself, he is being himself for you. This holds immense emotional power because it positions him as someone shaping himself to enter your world. In that transformation, he begins to feel an addictive sense of belonging. He does not just desire you, he wants to feel desired by you. He needs your approval to reaffirm his masculinity, his attractiveness, his worth. And while this may seem romantic on the surface, it is also a red flag. You are beginning to carry the emotional weight that belongs to his partner. He is no longer seeking recognition at home, he is seeking it from you. And that is a burden that can quickly become unsustainable. Often, this investment of time comes in conversations with no apparent purpose. There is no urgent reason to talk, yet he still messages you. He asks how you are, what you're doing, how your day is going. If you do not reply promptly, he seems unsettled, because this consistency is no accident. He is deliberately keeping the emotional connection alive. Humor becomes another tool to build closeness. He sends memes, jokes, little daily anecdotes. He wants to make you laugh. He wants you to think of him at random moments throughout your day. He wants to occupy space in your mind. And he succeeds because that constant, subtle presence creates an emotional bond. As Jung wrote in Symbols of Transformation, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. And that is precisely what begins to happen. He reshapes his routine for you, and you, in turn, begin to shape your emotions around his presence. It is an invisible, yet intense transformation. Sometimes this investment of time is disguised as helpfulness. He offers to drive you home, accompanies you on errands, is always available. And you may feel that it is sweet, even kind. But look closely, and you'll notice that this help carries emotional intention. It is not mere generosity, it is a way of being present. And this intensifies when signs of jealousy appear. He may not say it outright, but his questions hint at it. Who were you with? Did he message you? Do you hang out with that friend often? He cannot demand anything, yet the thought of someone else occupying the space he has already assigned to you unsettles him. This need for validation also emerges in how sensitive he is to your reactions. A compliment lights up his face, indifference makes him withdraw. He becomes emotionally reactive to your responses, as if his entire inner world is orbiting around your attention. This is not a game. It is a profound signal. You have become an emotional center for him, and even without physical contact, a powerful connection has already formed. You are occupying the place that once belonged to his partner, the place of daily validation, emotional presence, and affectionate reinforcement. That is why it is essential to ask yourself, what kind of time is he offering me? Is it stolen time? Fragmented time? Guilty time? Because while it may feel flattering that someone rearranges their routine for you, it may also signal that they are quietly building a parallel story with you. And that rarely ends well. If a man does not first resolve what is broken in his life, whatever he builds with you will be based on escape, not choice. Time is love turned into action. Validation is desire turned into need. If he offers you both, yet cannot offer you freedom or truth, then you are not being chosen. You are being used emotionally, even if he does not realize it. And you deserve far more than that. You deserve a complete love, free and available. Not a portion of time stolen from another story. Not validation that compensates for someone else's emptiness. You deserve a bond where you are the priority, not the escape. After all the signs, after the words, the time, the gestures and the emotions, something unsettling often appears: ambiguity. That moment when he, after being so close, so attentive, almost in love, pulls away, grows distant, changes, and you are left wondering what happened. This is not uncommon. In fact, it is one of the most telling signs. When a married man begins to feel emotions he cannot control or name without shattering his life, fear is triggered. Guilt follows. And where there was once connection, now lies contradiction. Today he speaks to you with tenderness. Tomorrow he acts as if he does not know you. Today he seeks you out. Tomorrow he avoids you. This emotional dance is not a direct rejection. It reflects an inner conflict he does not know how to resolve. He loves the connection, yet fears the consequences, and that tension turns him into someone unsure of what to do with you or with himself. As Carl Jung wrote in The Ego and the Unconscious, A happy life is not achieved by eliminating conflict, but by confronting it. Yet many men never confront the emotional conflicts they have created, they simply avoid it. They pull away, because getting closer would force them to confront a truth they do not know how to handle, that they are feeling something real outside the bounds of where they are supposed to. And you are left trapped in that ambiguity. You do not know whether to continue or to walk away. Because even if there were no kisses, no touches, no promises, there was still something planted, something that began to grow. And it hurts when it breaks. That is why the most important part of this video is not the signals he sends, it is what you choose to do with them. Recognizing that someone desires you does not mean you have to reciprocate. Understanding that there is a connection does not mean the connection is healthy. And feeling something does not obligate you to act on it. This is where your true power lies. Emotional awareness, the ability to choose from a place of maturity. To ask yourself not just what you are feeling, but what is really happening. Is he choosing you, or is he using you emotionally as an escape? Is he willing to face his truth with you, or does he simply need temporary relief? Because desire is one thing, integrity is another. And you deserve to be part of a whole story, not a borrowed chapter from someone else's novel. Jung wrote in The Psychology of Transference, "Only what is made conscious can be transformed." Today, you have the opportunity to see these signs from a different place, not with fear, not with judgment, but with clarity. You deserve relationships where you do not have to guess whether someone loves you. Where you do not rely on ambiguous signals to feel valued. Where you are not someone's emotional refuge simply because they lack the courage to fix what is broken in their life. You are worth more than intermittent attention. You are worth more than desire disguised as sweet words. You are worth a full, honest, mature, and free story. Do not settle for being someone's escape. Be the destination for someone who is truly ready to arrive. So ask yourself this final question. Are you receiving love or just crumbs of connection? Are you building a real bond or feeding an illusion? True love does not need to hide. It does not come in pieces. It arrives whole. And you deserve what is whole.